Guys, welcome to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath, and this is a stack of the latest arrivals from IMPRINT Films out of Australia. Now, just because these are out of Australia does not mean that they are region locked just to Australia. Every one of these has been region A friendly for me and my player, and they are an Australian product, but the fact that other audiences and regions get to play as well is icing on a sweet cake. Guys, you know we've covered every single IMPRINT release to date, starting with number 1, which is on shelves that you can't see, all the way through 163 is how far I go on my shelf. That's 163 right there. These start with 170, and I was like, well, where's 164 through 169? So I go to the Viavision website. I don't see them on the Viavision website. So if you have information as to the whereabouts of 164 through 169, please let me know. I feel like this is Unsolved Mysteries. I'll be Robert Stack for this episode. But if you find out, let me know. And if I find something out, I'll let you know. But we are jumping ahead to 170 here. And we're just going to jump right into it. Because as these have arrived, I always get them because I'm in the U.S. I'm getting them weeks after the street date. And these things sell out. So I don't feel like I have the luxury to dilly-dally and watch these and review these ahead of time. So we're just going to kind of discover these together. Also, you're going to see a lot of loose discs here, I think. Because these... when I opened these up, every single one of them had the hub that holds the disc on was missing teeth. It was like in a cartoon when a cartoon character gets punched in the mouth and then they smile and their teeth come out and they play piano, blank, 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 like piano music. That's what this was like. I think every single one of these has damage to the central hub. So I've got some floaters here, but that's what's going on. It happened, and it's international postage is what does it. They could go halfway around the world, or kind of like all the way around the world. So. All right, we're kicking it off with Testament. This is here's the thing I love about all of these movies. These are all very, they're made for adults. You know, my podcast conversation with Mike Malloy recently, the Eurocrime historian, the tough guy cinema expert, Mike Malloy, he has encouraged me with some things that I was already feeling. I'm just glad we have access to movies that are made for adults. They don't star superheroes. They're not horror movies. They're just dramas. You know, a lot of the time they're just complicated, kind of disturbing stories. Everything that we're going to talk about here, everything in this stack, with the exception of one movie, which is actually the last one we're going to talk about here, was either nominated for an Oscar or an award or won awards. One of these movies won 3 Oscars. One of them won 1 Oscar. A lot of them were nominated for Oscars. These are high prestige movies that frankly just don't get talked about that much because they're just not super approachable to a casual audience. But thank goodness that's not a barrier here. So we're talking about Testament. This is a movie about, it's essentially about a nuclear attack is what it is. The tagline here, I'm going to let you read all of this yourself and I'll hold it, we'll flip it around. The major special feature point here for me is that it, by the way, William Devane is in this. William Devane is a great actor. Highly recommend his career. Amanda Reyes does an audio commentary. Now, you've seen my video, hopefully, with Amanda Reyes talking about TV, the history of horror on television, and just, she's a super knowledgeable expert. I mean, she is a historian, a legitimate historian about horror history and television history. I'm really glad that she's here talking about this movie. Another audio commentary by David J. Moore, author of World Gone Wrong, A Survivor's Guide to Post-Apocalyptic Movies. That's a new book, or it's a new commentary. Testament at 20 here. I'm just reading things to you that I said I wasn't going to do. So here's the inner artwork. And let's see if I can get this. Yeah, floater. All right, here is the inner sleeve artwork. And of course, I'm keeping this coverage my goal is to keep this lean and mean. Talk about the movies. Yeah, let's let these, I'm just going to say this as often as I can. Let's let our conversation in the comments be like the conversation at the video store. Either the rental store or the purchase store, like the Suncoast Motion Picture Company. Just talk about this stuff. Jack Lemmon in Save the Tiger, a man who is having a crisis of conscience, a crisis of morality. Jack Lemmon is, of course, a great comedic actor, but he's also a fantastic dramatic actor. I'm not sure I held the front up for you long enough that you could read everything that's there. So freeze it if you need to. We got a ton of stuff here. 2 commentaries. Ammo for Shooting Clouds. John G. Avildsen before Rocky. This movie is 1973. Of course, he would go on to direct Rocky, which would become this huge... we're still talking about Rocky. It's still birthed the franchise that's still around all these years later. Got a vintage 1973 interview with Jack Lemmon. Here is the inner Blu-ray artwork. He looks a lot like Colin Firth to me, that artwork. And then here I'll show you. All right, this one's holding on. This one's staying on the hub for right now. Jack and the Tiger. Moving swiftly forward, the Molly Maguires. This one's cast to the nine. Sean Connery, 1970. Sean Connery. I'm too old for Bond, but I'm going to do something else. Richard Harris, Sean Connery, Samantha Eggar, the Molly Maguires. It's I think they're in Philadelphia, if memory serves. It's, you know, like the labor problems, but from a very, you know, I think we could all relate to these stories. Here's the thing: these stories don't go away and become irrelevant. Like, they're still as relevant today as they were. Like, we haven't changed really. So here, front of the artwork. Here's the Blu-ray case. And, oh, this one's holding on too. All right. I hear it. It's loose. North Dallas 40. This is Nick Nolte. Sort of a satire of football, professional sports. They pay you, and let's see, they pay you and they pay you well on one condition. You play the game their way, even if you're forced to break every bone in your body. Again, so we're still talking about this issue. This is 1979. So all kinds of new stuff here, commentary and I want to point this out. Audio commentary by filmmaker, film historian Daniel Kramer, and screenwriter Daniel Waters, with the film's director Ted Kotcheff. And he does an introduction to the movie that's brand new, and there's a visual essay about the director. So there's a ton of stuff here. And be very careful here. This is one that's getting a lot of attention. Pretty Baby. Brooke Shields is a teenage prostitute. This is essentially what this is. Susan Sarandon is in this as well. Anybody else I'm forgetting? Keith Carradine. Don't want to neglect Keith Carradine. Controversial, but I think it's really great that these movies are getting released. I don't know that this is... I don't know. I don't know how the studios feel about this. Who is this? Is this Paramount? Yeah, this is Paramount. Sometimes I wonder if they license things out to other markets, knowing that the people that want them, they'll find their way back to the U.S. or whatever, rather than deal with, you know, Twitter controversy. Will Twitter be around? Like, dealing with controversy. I wonder if it's a tactic to get art out there without, I don't know. You know, because Paramount's licensing these, right? They're licensing these out to Imprint via Vision, rather than releasing it themselves. I think a lot of this stuff is, you know, sometimes they'll release movies themselves under the Paramount Presents line or something like that, but they license out so much of their catalog. That's really interesting to me. As is the case with, I'm going to do both of these kind of at the same time. These are two Bert Lancaster films, 1952 and 1955, both from Paramount, or from the Paramount Library. So these are very, very highly regarded films that have a lot of prestige. Both of these are they're award winners. I'm just glad they're here. I'm just glad they're being released. Did I show you the back? Another loose disc. So let's come back, little Sheba. And as soon as I put it in, I heard it fall off again. And here's the Rose Tattoo. The Rose Tattoo. How provocative is this for 1955? Yeah, that artwork, 1955. That's pretty provocative. I love to see regardless of what Quentin Tarantino is on the record as saying about 1950s cinema and 1980s cinema being a low point for movie history because of the the stranglehold of the studio system on the films, I highly disagree. I think the 50s is one of the most prolific eras for really cutting edge, meaningful, powerful movies. There's also Poverty Row's thriving here. We've got Monogram is morphing into Allied Artists. We've got so many things. The studio system is crumbling during this era, and look at the things that are coming out. Look at the high prestige cinema. So if you only are listening to what some of the tastemakers have to say about some of this stuff, I would highly encourage you to check out some of these films for yourself. If you're watching this video, presumably you are a fan of movie history. And those that tell the narrative are not always, they're not infallible. It's all opinion. It's all subjective. I would say explore for yourself. The 1950s probably one of my, I would say the 30s and the 50s for me did everything. So lots and lots of Alan K. Rhodey commentary. Alan K. Rhodey is one of my favorite. I got Amanda Reyes here and I got Alan K. Rhodey. Both of those people are so impressive with their commentaries because they go into archives, physical archives, and they're going through the files and they're looking at microfiche. That's how you research a commentary, and I admire them so much for it. So here's our last film, Warning Shot, with David Janssen, who was the Fugitive. The Fugitive, the one-armed man. They made the movie about it, but the movie is based on a classic television show. Hey, that's a good example of a movie based on a TV show that's actually good. Because goodness knows, they're hard to find. That's a good example of one. But The Fugitive ended in 1967, I believe, and then this movie comes along in 1967. And it's about sort of a, well, I'll let you read the back of it. It's a man has to find he's got to find the murder weapon or he's on the line. And so that's what this film is about. That's great. Absolutely great artwork there. Is that showing up for you guys? It's a little dark for me. Disc staying on the hub. All right. Oh, got a tooth loose here. One of these hub teeth. Get that out of here. There's our interior artwork. So much to say about these movies. We've really only just scratched the surface, but when I've watched them, when I've had time to live with them, digest them, reviews for this stuff shows up in all my usual outlets. I'll say this again, if you're only following this channel, you're missing a lot of stuff because I'm posting just about everywhere. I post reviews to CerealAtMidnite.com. Those also go to Letterboxd. They also go to IMDb Critics section. Sometimes I do short reviews on TikTok. Sometimes I post reviews. It's all over. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. My stuff is all over the place. And I appreciate those of you who follow me and do read my reviews. Do check out my thoughts about the movies themselves so that it's not just, hey, this came. If we're not watching it and talking about it, really, what's the point? So I'm so happy to be talking to you guys about these movies. Which ones of these are you interested in? Which ones will you be picking up? Or did you pick up? If you're in Australia, you might have walked into a JB Hi-Fi and grabbed some of these. I should have also started with a good day to Australia. Thank you guys so much for watching these videos. Please subscribe. Give these a thumbs up. Anything you can do to help support this channel. We do have a Patreon campaign with weekly exclusive videos and a very tight community there. So anything you can do to support this channel to help get the word out, help us to grow, is really appreciated. I appreciate Imprint and Viavision, and I appreciate you. Guys, thanks so much. Take care. Till next time, I will catch you later.